Scout Fantasy Sports.
All right, it's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards. Get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. Adam Ronis, I know it's baseball season, man, but I got to talk a little football first.
Yeah, obviously free agency official next week.
I know. So we got a big show today. A lot of people on with us. Rudy Gamble on, Ray Murphy on, Fuego Steve on. So looking forward to that. But did you see the Seahawks released Richard Sherman?
Yes, I did see that. So the end of an era there as he is gone, and definitely a different team in Seattle right now with the Legion of Boom going over a major overhaul here.
Can you see Malcolm Butler going to the Seahawks? I think that'd be a nice little fit.
Yeah, they're going to obviously have to do something here, and we'll see where Sherman lands as well, obviously coming off that torn Achilles last season.
Sherman will probably go to the Jets, dude. Jets always buy guys like that, like 20 years after their prime.
Nah, I think he'll go to a contending team, I think.
Cowboys?
Possible. I wouldn't be surprised by that.
It's a good fit, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they need some help in the secondary. They got a couple of good young rookies who played better towards the end of the year, but that's been a problem for them the last couple of years.
I was waiting for this next piece of news for like the last 2 years now. DeMarco Murray officially cut. Titans going in with Derrick Henry. I told you I'm all in on Derrick Henry. If I'm picking top 6, 7, he's definitely on my radar.
I would not take him that high. Obviously, he gets a boost. I think we all knew this anyway. I mean, it was inevitable that this was going to happen. So I don't see like how all of a sudden this becomes a major boost for Derrick Henry. We all knew this was coming.
Well, honestly, can I tell you that? I don't know if I agree with you. I think that he was so amazing in the playoff games that he left the Titans no choice. But had he been 15 carries for 32 yards, you'd hear people saying, oh, he's not ready yet. Maybe you need Murray there.
No, I think this was going to happen because Murray was breaking down. And, you know, they saw the glimpses that they gave Henry. He was pretty good. So I'm not surprised by this at all.
I'll tell you this, though. I wouldn't be shocked to see the Titans draft a running back in the draft. I don't think any team wants to go with one guy anymore.
No, I don't think they do. And, you know, maybe more of a pass-catching back to complement Henry. I think they still have a little bit of questions with him when it comes to catching the football. So I could see a pass-catching back that they utilize and bring him in on some passing downs or some third downs.
I think we did a Twitter poll. It's a Dynasty rookie Twitter poll. Obviously, Saquon Barkley was number 1. Who'd you have as number 2?
I would think Geis would go to.
Do you think he's going to be a better pro than Sony Michel?
I think they're both going to be good. Obviously, it depends on landing spot, but I think Geis is a powerful back and a very good receiver as well. So I think he'd be the guy that goes to.
You know what I always feel about LSU? They have so much talent, and with all the talent, how have they not won national championships?
Yeah, I think you could say that about a few teams. You look back and you're like, wait a second, they had this guy, and this guy in the NFL, and you see how they do, and they don't win. But doesn't work like that.
LSU had Beckham and Jarvis Landry on the same team.
Yeah, I know.
Hello? How did you lose a game? Seriously. I think they had like me throwing them a football, though. That was the problem.
That's usually the case. We've seen that, with Alabama at times as well.
Right. Like, if you're LSU, how do you find the biggest rag-on quarterback in all the South when you've got like the best skill players out there?
Yeah, it's perplexing for sure because sometimes you make that one difference maker at quarterback and it really changes the complexion of your team.
Yeah, isn't there like some kid in Texas who's got a gun who they could find? And I got to feel like there's one guy that they could find in Texas or Florida, California, who could play football. I don't know why they can never recruit that kid.
I guess it's a difficult time trying to identify that talent.
That is true. All right, so by the way, if you want to get involved in Dynasty football, go to dynastyking.com, and you could be doing a Dynasty League. Any interest in a Dynasty League, Adam?
I used to. I haven't played in one the last couple years, but they're fun for sure. If you like to build a team, I do think it's especially appealing for the people who only play football because it gives them something year round to do.
I play 2. And one, I was so bad 2 years ago, but I went for it this year, and basically that was the league I was undefeated, and I lost in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's the worst, man. Yeah. That is the absolute worst.
Undefeated in 12 weeks, Ronis, get to the playoffs, and I choke in the semis.
Yeah, that happened to me one year where I was undefeated going into the finals and lost. It's like the worst feeling in the world. You feel like you dominated the whole season, and then you feel like you didn't accomplish anything because you didn't win the championships. Like all that work and domination for 14, 15 weeks, and it's gone in 1 week.
The truth is, I know this is going to sound crazy. I wanted a loss. One loss going into the playoffs. I thought that would help me because, sometimes when you're undefeated, there's so much pressure. And maybe my team couldn't handle the pressure.
Oh, come on. Maybe in real life, yeah, but in fantasy football. But I get it. I guess it's just a superstitious thing for some people. It's like, all right, let me get the loss out in week 13. It means nothing. Who cares if I go undefeated? The goal is to win a championship. So if I get the loss out of the way and a couple of down performers, maybe it won't happen to me in the most critical week. Was it a case, though, of your team not coming through, or you just ran into a real hot team that went off that week?
No, my team just literally crapped the bed.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's going to happen, a couple weeks a year.
I was putting up 270 points a week because we used defensive scoring. And in the playoffs, I think I put up like 178. That's terrible.
Yeah, and what did the other team do? Do you remember?
It's like 220. Like I should have beat. Like if I had a decent week, I would have won.
See, I don't remember what year it was, but the team I played went off. It was there was a Saints-Lions game that was going to be real high scoring, and he had like 4 or 5 guys in that game, and like they all went off.
Right. That's the problem. I said, in baseball, fantasy baseball, the best team, in my opinion, 95% of the time wins. In football, that's not always the case.
No, it's not. And again, that's why I don't love head-to-head as much in baseball, because it's happened to me a few times where it's the 1 seed or the 2 seed in a head-to-head points playoff league and didn't win because you're taking 1 week of the entire season, and you know how streaky it can be in baseball. You could have the best hitter, Mike Trout, could go 3 for 22 in a given week, and that could be the guy that's carried you all year. Your pitchers, Clayton Kershaw could have a week where he goes 5 innings, gives up 4 runs, doesn't get a win, and he's the guy that carried you all year. Again, it's the same in football. It's just that we've gotten so used to the head-to-head format. People like it, playing against each other, trash talking. But especially for baseball, in my opinion, it's even worse because every player has a bad stretch in the baseball season.
Well, and that's true. I just got word here. I don't know if you saw this, that we're increasing the prize pool in league prizes and championship round prizes. And they're trying to give, at least with, what we're doing with the World Championships, we're trying to give a third place prize. I kind of like third and fourth place prizes. Maybe I'm one of those everybody gets a prize type of guys, but I like it because sometimes the best team comes in third, and football, that does happen.
Oh, yeah, it does. 4 to me is way too much for a 12-team league. I don't think 4. I'm okay with the top 3.
You wouldn't give a fourth one, like 2 teams who make the semifinals and the 2 teams who make the finals get money?
4 teams out of 12? I think that's the 4 paying them too much. That's too much. Why should a fourth-place team get money?
In my home league, I give 6 places.
Out of 12?
Yeah.
It's way too much, in my opinion.
Well, here's what we do. So in weeks, like the 5th and 6th place team play each other. There's $400 at stake. The winner gets $250. The loser gets $150. So it's like they play an extra week.
And what's the entry fee?
$300. So you're getting half your money back if you make the playoffs.
I don't know. I just feel 50% of the league to me should not get paid. There has to be something for being one of the better teams all year long. I'm sorry, if you're 6th, you're not one of the better teams.
So you think I should make a top 4?
Yeah. In my league, we do champion, Super Bowl loser, and even the 2 playoff teams, the semifinal losers, don't even get that much.
I definitely feel like I want to
league.
give them money back. I definitely feel like if you make the semifinals, you should at least get your money back. At least.
Look, everyone has a different. I just think the winner should get paid the bulk of the money. Just my opinion. 6th out of 12. To me, if I do that, it's not an accomplishment. I didn't have a great season, and I don't deserve to get money. In my opinion, everyone has different league payouts and formats, and again, you got to do what's best of what the league votes on. I play in one league where they have a toilet bowl type thing,
right?
And I'm just really
$50 for the winner. Yeah,
dude, it's
$50 for the winner.
So it's everybody in the league is eligible for some money. So there could be a team that goes 2-11 and they're eligible to win money in the toilet bowl. I know it's not a lot, but that's a disgrace.
No, what I do is I put $50 there, and it's a 3-week playoff for the 6 teams who didn't make it, and the highest guy of the 3 weeks gets the $50.
Why? What's the point of that? I don't understand. Why?
Right,
who cares, dude? In my opinion, you suck the whole year. You don't deserve to play those 3 weeks.
You don't
You're
deserve
done.
To watch TV and watch fantasy. And
so you have other leagues for. Why you?
Well, I don't want, maybe people don't have other leagues. I'm just.
Well, that's too bad. Then they should have done a better job the whole season. And I would say the same thing if it was me. If I had a bad. Nah, why? Why? I don't understand why they should get $50 for what? So you could essentially be a 10 or 11 seed and get hot over 3 weeks. I had this argument with the GST league.
No, they're only competing with the other teams who didn't make it.
Okay, I still don't like it. First of all, I had a problem in the GST league. So we did 2 12-team leagues. There was an overall championship as well. Everyone was eligible for the overall, which to me was crazy. Now, the argument was, well, the likelihood of one of those bad teams winning is slim. True. But I was the number 1 team in my league. And because I had Alvin Kamara and a couple down guys, I didn't even finish like top 3 in the overall. Now, the team who won the overall was a 1 seed in the other league. So fine. But it's not right that a team that is maybe 500 or below has an opportunity to win an overall prize.
Well, how do they do it in like CDM? In CDM, don't you play in your league and then you have a bunch of leagues and then the overall, everybody's involved in that?
I'm not sure, but I don't think everyone should be involved in an overall prize. I don't know, man.
I think everybody should be involved. But the truth of the matter is, if you're coming in 8th in your league, you're not winning the overall prize.
There's still a chance. You pick up a couple free agents that all of a sudden get hot late in the year, and you have them and they go off. We've seen you have a quarterback that throws 4 or 5 touchdowns that struggle most of the year. All of a sudden gets healthy. So it's possible. The chances are slim, but you should not even have that opportunity if you were a 4 and 8 team, and now all of a sudden it's a clean slate for 3 weeks and you get to win an overall.
So let me ask you that. So last year I had a great team. I was in first or second place all year in the high stakes. But a few years back, I literally was the second to last team to make the playoffs, and I came in 6th overall, dude. Made like $7,000.
Well, because it was total points, though.
Total points, and and then I just had 3 big weeks.
That's fine if you're a good team if you have a lot of points, and the record was bad because of some bad luck. That's different. Total points, you deserve to qualify. I'm talking about like teams that are like below 500 that don't have a lot of points, and now you're putting them in a playoff, whether it's a toilet bowl, whatever it is, and they have an opportunity to win money. You shouldn't be eligible. And I would say the same thing if it was my team. I don't deserve to win the money. I had a bad year. I had 12, 13 weeks to get it done, and I didn't. I shouldn't have a 3-week stretch here now where I can win money. It's not fair to a team that finishes above you. There could be a situation where you have a team below 500 that wins money in the toilet bowl, and the team that made the playoffs, loses in the first round, might win nothing. How's that fair?
Right. I like the way we do it, that you have to have a certain cutoff to get in the playoffs, otherwise you're not in. Right?
Yeah, that's fine. Again, and the total points are taken into account in addition to record. So I like that. Total points should be a factor because we all know we've all been in there in situations where we just had a team blow us out, just go off every week, and there's nothing you could do. We've all been there, and it's the most frustrating thing, which is why you have to have a setup where total points do come into consideration.
I wouldn't even consider a league that didn't have total points. If it didn't have total points to make the playoffs, I'm not even playing, dude. Not even playing.
Yeah, I hate these leagues where it's like top 4 records or top 6 records.
I would never play in that. I mean, seriously, I could play the guy who put up 180. I put up 179.5. I lose? Really? I was the second best team in the league that week.
And I don't understand like how people don't want total points to be a factor. I was in a league where it was a very high entry fee, and they voted for top 6 records. Like, really?
Because that's old school. It's old fashioned. Oh, that's how we did it. I don't care. I want the best. I want the best 6 teams to make the playoffs. The best 6, Ronis.
Yeah, no, that's how it should be. Or 4, depends. I mean, I don't know, 6 out of 12, 50% of the field goal in the playoffs.
It's a lot, right?
It is. Right, I mean, mine's 14 teams. We do 6.
That's about right.
Yeah, so top 2 teams get a buy-in.
That's true. That makes sense. All right, speaking of good teams, Rudy Gamble from Razzball.com. He's a darn good fantasy baseball owner, and he's going to be with us next. You know what we're going to talk about? His Tout Wars draft. He was in Ronis' draft. They're like arch enemies. You're going to be nice to Rudy.
Yeah, it's a friendly competition for now.
All right, friendly for now. Talking to Rudy Gamble from Razzball when we return right after this.
Watch Craig Carton live, the top 8 at 9 on Twitch.tv from the Fantasy Sports Network Studio 34 every Monday through Thursday at 9 o'clock Eastern. Do you want to be a part of the show? Take part in the Twitch chat room and give me your opinions or call in 844-84-FNTSY. Go to Twitch.tv/Craig Carton Live and get in on the action. Come get some. It's Craig Carton Live, the top 8 at 9, only on Twitch.tv.
It's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards. Get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. I'm a senior fantasy expert at Scout Fantasy Sports, and I'm back on the airwaves here at the Fantasy Sports Network. 78% of our subscribers took home a fantasy title in 2017. And with my partner, Adam Ronis, there's no better team of baseball experts in the industry than the team here at Scout Fantasy Sports. There's 11 losers in every league. Don't be a sheep and follow the herd. Sign up today at scoutfantasysports.com.
Have you ever wanted to have a fantasy expert in the palm of your hand? Or better yet, in the pocket of your khakis? Well, check it out. Now you can. It's the Fantasy Sports Radio Network app. Download it now to your phone. We promise no weird viruses, no strange tracking things. Just 24 hours a day, 7 days a week of pure fantasy knowledge dropping all over your head. It's the Fantasy Sports Radio Network app. Stop being a weirdo and streaming it online. Get it on your phone. Take it with you everywhere you go.
Muscle Maker Grill was made for baseball season. Muscle Maker Grill supplies you with delicious, healthy meals that will give you energy to cheer on your team week after week. Whether you're craving flavorful salad, packed wraps, or guiltless entrees, Muscle Maker Grill has you covered. Hosting a game? No problem. Our catering packages will have your whole team satisfied with flavors ranging from Italian to Tex-Mex and much, much more. Visit MuscleMakerGrill.com for your nearest location and have a winning season.
The sun can make your outdoor deck and patio space so hot and uncomfortable you can't use it. But now there's the Sunsetter Retractable Awning. A Sunsetter Retractable Awning opens and closes in just 60 seconds, and it keeps your patio about 20 degrees cooler. It provides instant shade and protection from the sun's harmful rays. You can get your Sunsetter for as little as $5.99 when you call now to get your special $200 discount certificate and free awning idea kit. You're going to love your Sunsetter Retractable Awning. Sunsetter awnings are assembled in America and guaranteed to last for years. So call 800-869-5446 now to get a free awning idea kit with DVD, plus your $200 Sunsetter discount certificate. This is a limited time offer, so call 800-869-5446 now. That's 800-869-5446 for your free awning idea kit with DVD and $200 discount certificate. There's no obligation, so call 800-869-5446 now.
All right, we're back. We're Scout Fantasy Sports, Dr. Roto, along with Adam Ronis. And we've got Rudy Gamble in the house. That's right, from Razzball.com, one of my favorite fantasy baseball sites around. Rudy, what's up, my man?
Doing well. Draft season. It's like every day is like another Christmas.
How are all the kids doing? Everybody's good at home?
Yeah, got the party of five here is doing okay. Only three kids. I don't have five kids. Yeah.
All right, so let's start it off, Rudy. Today, I saw the Cambridge might be named the closer of the Angels. Here you are in round 24, and you're already cherry-picking closers.
Wow, yeah, I didn't hear that one. I got a couple shares of him. I just, it's always you always have to be wary of the sociopath as the coach there, but yeah, Blake Parker just didn't convince me. And yeah, Bedrosian he's the perfect guy I want to target in early drafts because he's got, he has the K potential. He's not awful on walks. I mean, so even if he's in the middle of a reliever for a little bit, he's still playable on those weeks where you've got crappy matchups with your starters.
Well, you took, obviously, Mike Trout to start as the number one pick and the defending champion, and then you got Noah Syndergaard. And after the spring, and especially yesterday's performance where he struck out 7 in a row, including Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Anthony Rendon, I think you're going to start to see Syndergaard possibly go as early as the second round, especially in some high-stakes leagues in the weeks ahead. Were you a little surprised Syndergaard made it back there? Because in a lot of drafts, pitching is starting to go a little bit earlier, and we saw Strasburg and Carrasco go ahead of him.
Yeah, Carrasco ahead of him was a bit surprising. I think you've drafted around the turn. I know you drafted first last year, so at a certain point you either have to whatever gets you. You can't really worry about value as much because there's 28 picks. So Thor or anyone I'm taking that spot, I know might be picked 5 picks later. So I just take whoever I like best. a little surprised Thor's there, but people are still wary. The thing about last year, though, it was all his oblique, wasn't it? I mean, I know you're the big Met fan.
Yeah, his lat.
But it wasn't.
Like you said, no elbow, no shoulder.
No elbow, no shoulder. Those are the only two things I'm worried about. And maybe if they're of generous carriage, I worry about their knees. But otherwise, so I think it's a little bit overrated. He's just so violent that I could see why people are worried. But he's also 6'7". It's not like he's in Pedro Martinez's body, where seemingly the laws of physics will eventually catch up. If anyone could throw 100, it should be like a 6'7" Norse god.
All right, Rudy, let me ask you. You took 3 pitchers in the first 6 rounds, 2 starters and a closer. Was that the plan going in? Do you plan for things like that, or do you just take it as they come?
I typically have been drafting 2 starters in the first 5 rounds. So I'd say that was according to plan. I mean, on the reliever side, I thought I drafted Rivera in the 7th, but it's kind of see it as like 7-1 versus 6-15 is about the same thing. So I have the 7th round typically is when if you want a reliever, you've got to get him. So I really like Rivera this year. So yeah, I'd say that was all planned. I think the one part that wasn't planned was when the 8th round wrapped up to me and Iglesias was still on the board. So I thought I was surprised. I think starters went a little bit, there was a little more starters going than I would have thought, because I think there's a lot of uncertainty in those rounds. And so I took it as a chance to take Iglesias, goose the K's a little bit, and avoid the game of trying to find a second closer. I saw Adam's strategy, which is what I did in labor, which I totally approve of early in drafts, which is get it one closer and then take a few dart throws. I think that approach works as well versus overpaying for let's say a 20th to 30th reliever. But Iglesias fell in my lap, and so I just grabbed that value.
Now, you took Christian Yelich, first pick around 3, and some people might say, wow, that's kind of early. But number one, this is an OBP league, and how do you think the move to Milwaukee changes his outlook for the season?
Yeah, I think the homers go up a little bit. I mean, he is getting a year older. I do think you learn a little bit on approach. So I think for the homers a little bit, it's hard to imagine much better of an offense than he had in Miami. But I just think everything goes up a little bit. So I think there's a lot of value there in an OBP league. I wanted to make sure my first 2 bats, Trout, and then my next bat was high OBP, because that is hard to make up as you go in the draft. And I think it was down to I think I had one guy I would have taken above Yelich, but now I'm forgetting who. Maybe it was a Springer. But there's a few guys that I was like, I think they'll come back to me. One of them will, and Yelich was probably the last on that list. So yeah, I'm not saying that's a great value. That's one where there's no way he gets back to me. And in my case, he was the hitter I liked best for my team that was still on the board.
Rudy, I think people might look at Joey Gallo in the 5th and Ian Desmond at the 7th, and maybe even Justin Smoke at the 8th, and say, well, these guys are good, but they're a little early. Do you feel they're early, or in an OBP league, do you think that you took them right at the right time?
No, I think that would be one. I think, with OBP, someone like Gallo's value increases a lot. It's a tougher league to gauge what people are going to do because of OBP. I have the ADP in front of me. I know, which guys are likely to go up versus down in it. So someone like Matt Carpenter goes up a good amount because he's got such a great walk rate. So at the first slot, I think you just have to go with guys you like. On my board, you worry a little less about value. And yeah, for me, like a guy like Gallo, I'd say, like, where would you put a guy who's a 250, 260 hitter with 40 homers? And I feel like his normal value gets dinged a round or two because of average. You take that out of the equation, he's an okay on-base guy. I think that value's quite good. I also like first and third, so it gave me a little more flexibility in roster construction.
Justin Smoke was your pick around 8, and drafts like a few weeks ago, I mean, I've seen some leagues where he went 12, 13, 14 round. I was trying to figure out, I'm like, why is everyone down on Smoke? I get it. It was his first big year. Obviously, OBP helps him a little bit, but are people not giving Smoke enough due and just chalking this up to one outlier year? What is your outlook for Smoke this year?
Yeah, I mean, I took him around the same spot of Labor, so I guess I'm a Smoke fan. I think it's obvious people are undercounting it because it's 1 year. Although if you look back at the 2 years prior, his homer to PA rate is still quite high. He just didn't get full time playing. I see him as hitting between third and fifth in that lineup, depending on where they want to hit, like a Donaldson. He's a switch hitter, where most of that type, the power hitting lefty with marginal average, is typically a lefty only guy. I'm talking about like a guy like Bauer, Logan Morrison, and Duda are a little bit cheaper versions. So I like you guys have the platoon split. Yeah, I think people are a little sour. I feel like there's this feeling that if I don't get a first baseman early, that I'm doomed. And to me, I feel like Smoke is a underrated target because of it.
Rudy, you made a pick here in round 15 who I happen to like. I think Blake Snell, I'm calling him this year's version of Robbie Ray Light. Could he be that good? I mean, he's got a lot of strikeouts. He just has to harness that control. What are you seeing from Snell this year?
Yeah, man, he definitely has some upside. He definitely showed some growth in the second half. I've been burned by him before on around this spot in the draft. I'm looking to get solid starting pitchers and willing to take a little risk at this part of the draft. I think he's got the potential to go 170 innings and give you close to 1K per inning. So I think there's value to be had. Can't really expect wins, but I was pretty happy with the value there. I think with starters this year especially, you're just hoping it gets real rough. So I think you've got to go pretty heavy in that 11th to not only 11th, almost like 13th to 16th or 17th. Get a few guys and hope for the best, but avoid I'd say and use bats use bats in that 1 to 10 range aside from like 1 or 2 starters.
Was there a pick or two where you got sniped on, where you were all ready to take him and they went right before you?
I was going to take Carpenter when he came back. That one was real surprising. He lasted as long as he did. I think it was maybe because of the injury, but it didn't seem like that injury's going to keep him out. He might still make opening day, if not a week or two later. So I think Ray Murphy took him right before my pick. But otherwise, I think it was. I don't think there was any. I can't think of any snipe that stung. I was a little. The tough thing of waiting 28 picks is something like I ended up punting the whole middle infield. My first middle infielder, I think, was 15th round, and you keep pushing it a little, like Kramer and that in that when he takes the car out and wants to see how close he can get to E. And so someone like Cesar Hernandez was one where he's a sneaky good play here because of his OBP. And, I bet he's going to come back to me and he gets taken like 2 picks before me. That was a minor snipe because I don't think Cesar Hernandez is going to be the reason I win or lose a league.
I don't know. Good question to the league. We're going to come back to this and save this sound.
Talking to Rudy Gamble from Razzball.com. He's lamenting losing Cesar Hernandez at some point in this draft. Let me ask you about Steven Sosa, who's been, a good player in Tampa. I was kind of surprised that Tampa moved on for him. I know they got Anthony Banda in that trade and a Yankee minor leaguer. Do you think Souza goes to Arizona and goes, 20 home runs, 15 stolen bases? You worried about the humidor? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, he played in Tampa, and I don't think Arizona is going to be worse than Tampa. And he had a very nice year last year. If you are thinking OBP instead of average. He's another guy that his value goes up. What happened with my team in that slot was there was never a stolen base guy I liked. And what I had done early in Trout and Yelich to help start was just build a stolen base floor that I knew even if I didn't get a specialist like a DeShields or a Peraza, I still was about league average. I didn't punt the category. So Souza, around there, Souza I felt like was another 10 to 15 stolen base guy. Maybe I feel like worst case is if like the humidor has a major impact. The homers go down, but they'll run more as a team. I think biggest issue with him is if he gets injured. But I'm not too worried there. And I think I paired him up with Kiermaier, who shares the same injury concern, but balances out, still gives you that 40 homer and stolen base potential, just a little more slanted towards the stolen bases.
Is there a pick you look back on and you regret a little bit? Maybe you felt like you should have went in a different direction, or were you happy with everything?
No, I'm happy. I mean, I wouldn't. I don't look at my middle infield and pat myself on the back. I think it's solid, and I'll obviously churn it. The Desmond pick, I like Desmond a lot. You get first base, outfield, and I think he came undervalued because he just didn't have a great first year there. I'm still bullish even with the Carlos Gonzalez news last night that given his contract, Desmond's not a guy who's going to lose playing time. So, I think I look at the team. I'm quite happy with this one. I think still tons of in-season work to be done. I think maintaining a healthy pitching staff is just it's like a full-time job, and it's not getting any easier. But at least this is unlimited DL. So I could pretend like I'm Andrew Friedman.
All right, Rudy, let me ask you this last question here. If you could do one pick over, what pick would it be and why?
Gotta be honest, I didn't really have any. I don't have any of them. I'm not. I know that it's always a crapshoot going into a year, but this is maybe my third or this is like a fourth draft. I think I probably had a little more drafts in me than some of the others, and the experience in the OVP league definitely helped. So, I felt like. It'd be interesting to get your thoughts on it, Adam. I felt like overall it was not a. It was a rather easy draft.
I think
I see guys there's a few picks.
Yeah, I thought there were a lot of poor picks. I like what you did. There was a lot of players you have on your team that I've drafted or were targeting. And it seems that's the reaction. That's the reaction is like there's only a few teams that people like in this draft, and a lot of people have been getting bashed for some of their picks. So. It seems to be the consensus thought, and I think most people believe you and myself will be there in the end because we have been the last few years. So I always know that you're one of the guys I have to worry about.
Yeah, no, I mean, when I would get sniped or guys fall off my queue, it seemed like a few owners were always a culprit, and you were definitely one. Yeah, I do think the funny thing is I don't really evaluate others' drafts maybe nearly as confidently.
Because you're not on the radio, Rudy. That's what we do. We talk about people's drafts, and we loved yours, my friend. So we wish you a lot of luck this year. Can we bring it on soon?
Thank you.
All right, Rudy Gamble, Razzball.com. Talk to you soon, my friend. All right,
good.
When we come back, more fantasy baseball, more dissecting tout. Tons more to do. We're back right after this.
Skix sneakers are taking over tailgates and alumni homes across America. Skix canvas high top, low top, slip-on, and kids tennis style sneakers designed in officially licensed college colors and logos is a must-have for every college fan's wardrobe. Fun, fashionable, and comfortable. Whether you're at the big game or watching the game at home, Skix helps fans perform better. Go to Skix.com and use promo code FNTTSY for 15% off your pair now. That's Skix.com. Skix sneakers, the soul of a true fan.
Steiner Sports is the leading memorabilia provider for the New York Yankees, Rangers, Giants, Knicks, and the Brooklyn Nets. Featuring hundreds of items from your favorite athletes, Steiner Sports is your source for the best sports gifts. Go to steinersports.com/box and shop our collection of memorabilia boxes, which include 10 gifts for the price of one. We've made one for each of your favorite teams. Hurry, supplies are limited, and these are some of the best deals we have ever offered. So go to steinersports.com/box today.
Fantasy Sports Today.
Notorious B.I.G. is the greatest rapper of all time, correct?
I agree with Corey 100%. He is the greatest rapper of all time. I kind of get angry when people put Tupac in the same breath as him.
Tupac, to me, was a great actor, a great poet, as Christopher Vona says. I think he would have been a well-known actor also.
I'm thinking about the number of songs, and obviously you're going to have a limited sample from B.I.G. because of what happened, but I'd say Biggie every single time. But Nas and Jay-Z are very highly thought of me as well.
Weekdays, 9 a.m. Eastern, only on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network.
Have you written a book and want to get it published? Then call Page Publishing at 800-955-3793 immediately. That's 800-955-3793. Page Publishing is looking for authors of all types of books. And unlike most publishers, Page Publishing will take the time to review each and every book submitted to them and give you their feedback. If they like what they read, they'll get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, the Apple iTunes Store, Barnes & Noble, and other outlets. They handle everything: editing, cover design, copyright protection, printing, publicity, and distribution. So if you've written a novel, children's book, cookbook, inspirational work, poetry, or a biography and want to get it published, then you need to call Page Publishing and do it immediately. Call 800-955-3793 now for your free author submission kit. Again, for your free author submission kit, call 800-955-3793. That's 800-955-3793. Your road to fame and fortune could very well start with this simple phone call. Call Page Publishing at 800-955-3793 for your free author submission kit.
Hey, I'm Jeff. Look, I'm just a skeleton. I don't have an ACL anymore, but I'd still like to know what it means when one of my fantasy players sprains his. That's why I use the Inside Injuries app. It was created by real doctors, so you're getting information directly from people who have seen, touched, and operated on actual ACLs. Take it from me, a skeleton. If you aren't using it, you might as well just be guessing. Download the free app today and unlock the secrets of injury analysis.
All right, we're back. We're Scout Fantasy Sports. Dr. Roto along with Adam Ronis. We're here. It's 1:40. Got a big second hour coming, Ronis.
Yeah, for sure. We got Ray Murphy coming up at 2 p.m. Eastern. He was also in Mixed League Tout Wars. He had the number 2 pick. He was also been very competitive in this league. So, you know, one of the things we wanted to talk to him about was the selection of Zach Greinke over some other arms, and especially, I mean, the news came out yesterday about Greinke and his velocity being down. Said he was concerned, 84 to 86. I really don't think it's a big deal. Greinke, I think the same thing happened last year. Greinke is a little bit different from other guys. We know he's had some depression issues, and he just is a different guy. So I'm really not concerned about it at this point. I want to see what happens. But I remember the same issue last year, and people started dropping him, and he went out. He had a phenomenal year. So I think we do see some pitchers. It takes some time for their velocity to go up. So he obviously didn't have this news. But still, even when this happened earlier this week, I think when you see Greinke taken ahead of Verlander, Jacob deGrom, Madison Bumgarner, Luis Severino, it opened eyes. So we'll get Murphy on to kind of explain that.
Do you see Javier Baez has a left hamstring issue? That's not good. That could be 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 weeks.
Yeah, I think at this point they're saying it's not serious, but they're always going to do that and say that. But you're always worried about a hamstring. But they have time, and we still have 3 weeks to the season. So if you're the Cubs, you probably just sit him out the rest of the spring at this point. They're saying it's bothering him. They'll figure out what's going on, whether it's a cramp. But either way, I would expect him to probably sit the rest of the spring. And, maybe the Cubs play cautious, say, hey, it's cold early in the year. We don't need to push it. They have depth. that's one of the things is they could just play Hap and
Ben Zobrist.
I don't know about Zobrist, but they could play Hap and they got Addison Russell there. They can move guys around. They have plenty of depth.
Do you think there's more time for Almora?
I like Almora. Yeah, maybe.
So Almora goes to center field and Hap goes to second?
Yeah, you could do that. So that's the thing. The Cubs have pieces. Madden, he likes to get guys in. I don't think Zobrist has too much left, but Zobrist will be in the mix as well. So
if you're drafting Javi Baez right now, and I know we think of Javi, at least I do, as a 10 to 15 stolen base guy, do we now have to move him down to 3 to 5?
No, I think it's too early to say that. I mean, it's a long season. Again, he has 3 weeks before the start of the season. So even if he does open on the DL, he could be close to 100% early April. So you weren't expecting a lot. He had 10 last year.
I'm lowering him, dude. I'm lowering him. I think a hamstring injury now, especially in the cold of Chicago, the first month or two of the season. Come on, dude. But Chicago is freezing in April. I mean, I've been to Chicago in July. It's been cold. I'm just saying, I look at Baez as a 10 to 15 stolen base guy, and I always say maybe he can do more. He's not doing more this year.
Yeah, he's been 10 and 12 the last 2 years, 15 and 13 stolen base attempts. So he really doesn't run that much. The biggest issue for him, too, is if he does go into a slump, they don't have to put him on the field. They have a lot of depth. So I have not drafted Baez yet. He's a great defender. That's what's going to keep him on the field. I mean, that guy is, and we've seen it in the playoffs, he is so good.
I took him in labor. I don't love Javi Baez. I like him. I like his position flexibility, right? I like the fact that he played at second and short. Maybe I get a couple of games at third. Maybe he qualifies. Who knows? So I agree. I like the player, and I thought that this was a good year. But the hamstring bothers me. I don't like hamstring. I don't like groin. I don't like calf. I hear those three, and I really don't like oblique, Ronis.
Yeah, it's early, though, so I'm not as concerned. Especially if you catch it early enough and you sit him down for a long period of time. We've seen guys have hamstring issues, come back, and still steal bases. So it's a matter of just catching it early enough and providing him enough rest.
So I've got to go back to our conversation of a while ago, maybe of yesterday. So I played a little NHL DFS for us. Last night I actually did it. I read Renner's article, put in about 4 or 5 plays, clicked Optimizer. The Optimizer gave me a guy who was $3,600. I'd never heard of this guy. He plays for the Vegas Golden Knights. And he scored 2 goals. I won.
Yeah, there you go. And that's just another example for people to check it out and use it because obviously you guys have said it's been on fire for NHL. I know the NBA Optimizer cashed again last night.
Oh, did I tell you about this one? So this I played a game. It was a simple game. Score over 280. I went on the Optimizer. I clicked the Optimizer. I did not make one change. The Optimizer said my team was going to put up 302. It put up 310. Made money. Boom.
And that's for FanDuel, correct?
FanDuel.
Okay. Yeah, on DraftKings, it was on spot too. It had Karis LeVert, who had a big game, very low owned. So, it's been, as I've said, if you use it, it's not going to cash every night. Nothing ever does. There could be injuries, underperformances, but most of the time, I always just check it out to see because I like to measure the results. I'm always curious. I'm like, okay, like I told you 2 nights ago, I hated it. It cashed. Truck used it. I went elsewhere. I still cashed too. And last night it was good. So if you use it every day, I think you're going to cash 4, 5, 6 times a week. I mean, 6 is kind of high, but I'm telling you, most nights it cashes.
It's pretty possible. I mean, look, tonight the FanDuel thing is 290. Right, it's 290, and the team lineup that the Optimizer game before said 327, Ronis. That's free money.
Yeah, for sure. And like I've said, your membership is going to be paid off depending on how much volume you play, how much money you put in. It could be paid off in night 1, and there you go. You're already positive. So even if you lose the next 2 nights, you'll be fine. You'll get it all back. You think about it. Your monthly fee is going to be recouped probably in night 1.
Speaking of membership, I am working this weekend. You know what I'm working on? My bold predictions article for ScoutFantasySports.com. It's my favorite one of the year. This is when I pull the rabbit out of the hat, Ronis. And then at the end of the year, you realize that I probably got 5 of them wrong, but 5 of them I'm going to nail. And I love writing these articles.
Yeah, those usually 50% is a really good rate. Most people don't, because if you're calling it a bold prediction, it has to be out there. So those are usually
bold is not Aaron Judge hitting 52 home runs.
No, that's not bold at all. That's a repeat of what he did last year. So
give me a bold prediction. Bold.
Let's see. A bold prediction would be. Let's see. Aaron Nola wins the Cy Young.
That's bold. I like it. How about Byron Buxton goes 20 home runs and 40 stolen bases and is in the top 5 of MVP voting?
20-40, I don't think's bold.
That's not bold?
No. For Byron Buxton?
You think that's what he...
He had 29 steals last year and 16 home runs. So you're giving him 4 more home runs and 11 steals. How's that bold?
That's bold.
No, it's not.
Bold.
It's not.
Bold,
not at all.
Bold-ish.
Completely disagree.
So I have to say 25-50. That's bold.
That's bold. Yeah.
All right. So I have to debate what bold is. But how about finishing top 5 in MVP? That's not bold to you?
Yeah, but how does that help a fantasy player?
Because you know he's going to be good if he's in the top 5 of the MVP.
I think everyone knows he's going to be good. He's going in the 4th, 5th round.
But I look at him and I say this guy could be first-round pick next year.
I don't think anyone would be surprised by that. I've seen him go in the 3rd, 4th round of some drafts. So if he goes out there and lives up to the prospect pedigree that he was, I don't think anyone would be surprised by that.
All right, I'll get bolder. I'll look at it closely. I usually like writing articles. I don't want to do off the wall though, because I don't think that's responsible. Off the wall, I mean, it just gets hype, but it doesn't help people. And I want to help our members, dude.
I mean, think if someone said last year at the beginning of the year, Justin Smoke will hit 35 home runs. We'd be like, what? No way. He hit 38. That would have been like a home run. Like, really? You know,
that's bold. That's bold.
That's real bold, yeah. So, you know, I think it's trying to figure out these players that come out of nowhere and seeing if you could somehow come up with it. Because there's a lot of guys last year that no one expected to produce like they did. And, you know, Chris Taylor, Justin Smoke, Yonder Alonso. So,
dude, if you had Chris Taylor, you're clairvoyant.
Yeah, I don't think no one could have expected anything. Chris Taylor was like a nothing shortstop for Seattle and one of the best players in the National League on a NLCS championship team.
I mean, that was crazy. All right. What about, I was looking at this play here. Mike Moustakas signs with the Royals. Logan Morrison got the same amount of money. How is this humanly possible that Lomo gets the same amount as Moustakas?
It's the market, unfortunately. A lot of teams had third baseman, and Moustakas rejected that qualifying offer from the Royals earlier at $17 million. And you remember there was talk yesterday that he might not sign until June. Obviously, we didn't think that would happen, but it's really bad, man. I mean, there's so many guys getting paid more money than Moustakas. You would have thought coming off a 38-homer season, he would have gotten paid. And, you know, I don't think you could blame him. It's easy to go back and say you should have taken that qualifying offer, but I think a lot of people miscalculated the market, either teams getting smart and analytics coming into play now and realizing some of these guys have gotten just paid too much money over the years. But, you know, he lost a lot of money here. I mean, he lost like $10 million just rejecting the qualifying offer, and now he has to go out there, have another big year, put himself back on the market. And, you know, we still have some free agents out there that we're waiting for. Jake Arrieta, Greg Holland, Alex Cobb, Lance Lynn. So, you know, Cargo signs with the Rockies, but a lot of these guys miscalculated the market here.
Well, I think this one, he really miscalculated because next year there's Bryce Harper, there's Manny Machado. He may not get paid a lot of money either.
Nope, and it's bad timing. You know, if this happened 1-2 years ago, he would have gotten paid. And unfortunately now teams have just scaled back on what they're spending. So I don't think people saw this coming. I don't think Moustakas did. And, you know, now he has a $6.5 million contract. He does have some incentives and performance bonuses and a $1 million buyout or a second-year option worth $15 million. So it's definitely not what he was expecting coming off a year where he exploded for 38 home runs.
I mean, wasn't there also something where if they went and they took Moustakas, they had to give them money, international dollars, and lost a draft pick or something like that? So there were a lot of reasons that people weren't going after him?
I think that was part of it. And also, you know, a lot of the teams in contention didn't need a third baseman. You know, the Yankees, sure, they could have used them. They didn't need them. They're fine with the way they are. So, like, what team really needed a Moustakas? There weren't many out there. and that's why he's forced to go back to Kansas City.
How do the Yankees not just give him $10 million? 1 year, $10 million, boom, let's do it.
They don't want to go over the luxury tax.
Man, could you imagine Moustakas in that lineup, dude?
Yeah, they don't need him, though. They really don't. I mean, it would have been nice to have him, for sure.
They might need him by the All-Star break. If they're not, doing what we expect them to do, Miguel Andujar out, Moustakas in.
Well, they also have Drury there, so they have a lot of options.
I don't know. How about the Mets? Wouldn't you have loved to have seen Moustakas as a Met? That was
of course, but here's the problem, okay? The Mets did not think he was going to go this cheap at the time, so they couldn't wait around. They got Frazier for a pretty good bargain. They had to move on. It's just the timing of everything. If the Mets would have known, hey, I can get Moustakas for this $6.5, they would have done it. But at that time, they didn't. And you have Frazier at a pretty cheap price, a guy that wants to play in New York.
Isn't Frazier 2 years, $17 million?
Yeah.
So that's even more than Moustakas.
Dude, you do this too much, bro. You have to make the decision at the time. Do you think if the Mets knew...
I would have paid Moustakas $10 million at the time.
But Moustakas wasn't signing for that at the time. He was waiting it out. This is where the market was mistimed.
No, I can't blame the Mets because the Mets couldn't be left with nothing. I get that.
That's why they did it. They got a guy who wants to play in New York. He's from the area. He's shown he can handle, and he relishes it. So when you compare it in hindsight, of course, they would have rather taken Moustakas, but they did not expect this to happen. They didn't think he'd settle for this. They can't know that at the time. They probably figure, all right, he's going to wait it out. Some team is going to give in and pay him.
What about, I agree with that. I mean, I think the Mets just got unlucky and Moustakas realized he was going to be screwed and not play, so he had to sign. I mean, that's just bad timing, right? Bad luck, bad timing. Is that the way we look at it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, they didn't know how this was going to progress. I mean, they picked up an option for Asdrubal Cabrera, I believe, for $8.5 million. You think they would have done that if they'd known they could get Moustakas for cheaper? No, they wouldn't have done that. But you have to make the decisions at the time, and I'm pretty sure no one expected the market to be this poor. I mean, these are guys that if you would have predicted their contracts 3 months ago, you would have never saw this coming. You would have never said Moustakas is going back to Kansas City for a 1-year deal for $6.5 million.
I don't think he's going to get a bigger payday next year. I really don't.
He probably won't.
I don't. I mean, look, if you can't get a big payday after 38 or 30 some odd home runs, why are you going to get a better one next year?
He's going to have to do it again.
Right.
And
he's
even
going
if
to
he
have
does,
to do it again on a bad team. Bad lineup.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as good as... It wasn't a great lineup last year anyway, but losing Hosmer and Kane doesn't help.
Losing Hosmer doesn't help. And what about... does Duda and Moustakas make it sound a little better to you?
Yeah, it's not as bad as was you once thought. It's not great. Obviously, their pitching staff is a problem, but, Duda's when he's healthy, he's good. He's got power. He can get on base. Whit Merrifield, is he going to repeat? If he can come close to what he did last year, Salvador Perez, Jorge Soler's had a huge spring. Jorge Bonifacio was solid last year. So it's not terrible. It's not great. It's not ideal, but it's not like this is a awful lineup with guys that can't hit. They have some guys that can produce.
Yeah, what do you think of Whit Merrifield? I'm not sure how I feel about him.
I think his price is too high in drafts right now. Certainly, it looks like he's going to steal bases. I don't know how much power we're going to have, but for where he goes, people are paying for last year's numbers. And the counting stats got to go down a little bit. I don't think the lineup is as good. And, of course, in OBP leagues, he takes a little bit of it because he doesn't walk much. So you're banking on the steals. For where people are drafting him, you're hoping he gets 30, 35 steals again.
I think they're drafting him a bit too high. Not that I don't like him, but I see a little bit of regression.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be as good as last year. He really didn't get the opportunity for a while. He's 29 years old, and we've kind of seen this with a lot of guys, so he's one of these late bloomers. But the one thing he always did in the minor leagues was steal bases. I think the biggest question is how much power do you get of him? I think 19 home runs seems a bit high, but if he gives you 12, 13, 14 homers and steals 30 bases, I think fantasy owners will be happy.
Yeah, that's true. They'll be very happy. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk to Ray Murphy from Baseball HQ. We've got some great guys on today. Rudy Gamble from Razzball, Ray Murphy from Baseball HQ. Some terrific baseball guys, and he was a number 2 pick in that draft. Let's see how he did. We have some bones to pick with Ray. We're Scout Fantasy Sports, and we're back right after this.